Before we present our answers, here are the intended learning outcomes for this activity. At the end of this activity, the FS students must be able to achieve the following learning outcomes. Number 1. Identify what type of curriculum are utilized in DepEd schools. Number 2. Describe how teaching and learning processes are sequenced to meet the curricular needs and requirements. Number 3. Determine the teaching learning resources and ICT that facilitate teaching learning process. And number 4. Evaluate resources in the virtual learning environment.
Complete the table below by identifying the type of curriculum that exists in DepEd schools, laboratory integrated schools.
The first type of curriculum is the recommended curriculum. An example of it is the K-12 curriculum program. It is located in Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. A suggested curriculum, complete with a list of objectives and a material sequence that proposes graduation criteria, is frequently presented to school as policy suggestion. As an outcome, it defines the skills, concepts, and content that will be emphasized all throughout learning process. Is the written curriculum. Example of it is the daily lesson plan or syllabus, located in the recommended curriculum. The written curriculum is the curriculum that has been approved and sanctioned for use in the classroom. It represents the wants and demands of society. It translates the recommended curriculum's broad goals into specific learning outcomes. Next is the taught curriculum. Example of it is when the teacher begins explaining or discussing a specific lesson or topic in class. It's located in the daily lesson plan or syllabus. The curriculum that is taught to the students is referred to as taught curriculum. The teacher must teach the pupils the prescribed curriculum through a variety of learning and teaching styles that are suitable for the students.
Number 4. Supported curriculum. An example of this is when the teacher utilizes physical resources such as textbooks, workbooks, audio, visual aids, teacher's guide, and the like in delivering her lesson. It is located in DepEd Order No. 18 Series of 2020 or the policy guidelines for the provision of learning resources in the implementation of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. The curriculum that is supported by available resources is referred to as the supported curriculum. This could be human resources or physical resources. For human resources, an example is our teacher. And for physical resources, the examples of this are textbooks, workbooks, audio, visual aids, teacher's guide, grounds, buildings, library books, and laboratory equipment. Number 5. Assessed curriculum. Examples of these are paper and pencil tests, oral examination, and performance tasks. It is located in DepEd Order No. 8 Series of 2015 or the Policy Guidelines on Classroom Assessment for the K-12 Basic Education Program. The assessed curriculum is the curriculum that is reflected in the learner's assessments or evaluations. It includes all types of tests, such as teacher-created, district-created, and standardized in any format such as portfolio, performance, production, demonstration, and the like. Learned curriculum. Examples of these are from a non-reader to a reader, or from not knowing to knowing, or from being disobedient to being obedient. And these are measured by different assessment tools. It is located in DepEd Memorandum No. 173 Series of 2019 or the Every Child a Reader program. A learner absorbs or makes sense of the curriculum as a result of interactions with the teacher, classmates, or the institution. This type of curriculum encompasses the students' acquired information, attitudes, and skills. In other words, all the changes occurred in the learners due to their school experience are called the learned curriculum. Number 7. Hidden curriculum. Examples of these are peer influence, school environment, media, parental pressures, societal changes, and cultural practices. It is in the learner's character, personality, and attitude. The unwritten, unofficial, and often unintentional lessons, values, and viewpoints that pupils absorb in school are referred to as hidden curriculum.
Pair or compare with a lesson plan, downloaded or borrowed. Note your observation on how the design was implemented or translated into a daily lesson to meet the curriculum requirement.
Behavioral objectives or desired learning outcomes. The behavioral objectives or desired learning outcomes of the lesson plan that we borrowed are well defined and clear, and they serve as the foundation or pillars on which the lesson, evaluations, and teaching strategies can be built. Thus, the development of assessments, teaching techniques, and content materials in overall lesson should be directly connected to it in order to enable students to meet the expected learning outcomes. Content. When it comes to the content of the lesson, I observed that it is started with identifying or defining terms that are related to the topic. It is also contains ideas, beliefs, concepts, and facts supported by graphic organizers, making it easy to grasp. It is also a good idea that the teacher made use of cognitive maps as a tool for students to relate one idea to another and address misconceptions. It can also be an opportunity for the teacher to grab the students' attention that will result to a more meaningful teaching-learning process. Simply because both the teacher and the students will see how ideas connected across fields and to everyday life. Teaching and learning methods or strategies. The teaching and learning methods or strategies are based on the desired outcomes that are expected from the students. I noticed two strategies utilized by the teacher based on the borrowed lesson plan, namely cooperative learning and experiential learning. I believe these two strategies will help students to learn through collaboration and experience, and it will provide a more engaging manner of learning. Some evidences that these strategies are utilized by the teacher are the students' group works and authentic tasks. Also utilize technology to deliver the lesson. Assessment or evaluation. The evaluation designed by the teacher was good enough to meet the curriculum's objectives because it includes not only one but a variety of assessment that the students will answer before, during and after the lesson. The assessment measures how well did the students understand the lesson. Therefore, it enables instructors to meet the effectiveness of their teaching styles and strategies.
Using the borrowed or downloaded lesson plan, try to dissect parts and identify what resources, including ICT, were utilized to facilitate teaching-learning process. Procedure in motivation. The teacher initiated an icebreaker activity wherein students will perform a breathing with a high sigh relaxation. Procedure in the presentation of the lesson. The teacher asked the students why they need breathing with high sigh relaxation. After hearing students' insights and opinions about it, the teacher revealed its importance and connection to their discussion. Then, he introduced the topic. Procedure in the development of the lesson. The teacher used interactive questioning while discussing African music. He asked students to describe the new trend in music. He also utilized pictures and visual aids to make the discussion more engaging.
The teacher had a recap about their discussion by asking students questions, and it is done through an oral recitation. The teacher divided the class into two groups and let them answer several questions that are written on the paper inside an envelope. Then, he let them present their answer in the front of the class. The teacher presented an abstract question to the class and used interactive questioning to gather their thoughts and ideas about the influences and inspiration of African music.
Each activity contains well-written intended learning outcomes that clearly state and specify what a learner will have learned and be able to do at the end of a specific instructional period. The flow of activities is precisely matched or aligned with learning goals, outputs, and objectives. The alignment of activities is achieved through instructional design approaches and strategies which involve establishing intended learning outcomes that correspond to course objectives and determining the types of learning activities that represent those activities to ensure that everyone is aware to the expectation and achieve the desired outcomes.
Curriculum refers to the knowledge and skills students are expected to learn, which includes the learning standards or learning objectives they are expected to meet, the units and lessons that teachers teach, the assignments and projects given to students, the books, materials, videos, presentations, and readings used in a course. I know that curriculum exists because it serves as a compass that will guide teachers and students to meet each learning outcomes. Without it, teaching and learning will be useless because we will not be able to know where we are going. I believe that we should always begin with the end in mind because it will direct us to the right path. Thus, curriculum's existence is very important because it covers all the building blocks of education.
The educational experiences can be effectively organized by carefully planning it. That is why we use dated lesson plans to deliver a lesson effectively by taking into account the intended learning outcomes in every lesson. It is very vital to know the capabilities and learning styles of our students before designing a curriculum for them. As would-be teachers, we must bear in mind the capacity and potential of our future students first before designing activities. It would be great if we can design a variety of assessments while also keeping in mind that at the end of it, students can attain the same learning outcomes.
So both of the lesson plan was used effective resources that contributes to a meaningful learning process. And more than the learning of the students, it depends on how will the teacher plan and organize his or her lesson and the instruction.
As a pre-service teacher, we need to be strategic and a good planner so that all of the plans will be successful and smooth to meet the goals even though it's a big task to manage or plan. I will establish a strong conducive learning environment for the learners, and I will ensure that the students is paying attention and giving feedbacks to lead into reinforcement, especially in a positive one. Lastly, I will design a variety of activities suitable for multiple intelligences and learning styles. I will formulate authentic, summative, and formative assessment. And I want to be well organized and properly achieving the goals for the students.
It's essential to use the SMART criteria: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded. It is for this reason that I will use this criteria to develop realistic and acceptable learning objectives while keeping in mind the students' various learning styles.